Hi everyone, welcome back to Love, Sex and Magic, and I'm really excited to share with you the first episode in a series of 3 episodes that I shot with my beautiful beloved fiancé, baby daddy, Sean Jenkins. So in these 3 episodes, we are sharing our story, the roller coaster year that we've had together, from how we met, how we fell in love, the conception of Sky, the engagement, and just everything that's followed his birth, our NICU experience. You know, we're really going in depth with our story, and it was really cathartic to share with you guys and really healing, I think, for both of us. We also did a Q&A in the 3rd part of this series, so we really recommend listening to them all in order. And yeah, hope you love this. Hope you love this series and enjoy. Welcome back, everyone, to Love, Sex and Magic. This is our first episode back in a little bit, and it's our first episode in the new home studio in Austin. What do you think?
What do you think?
And it's first
0 to 10.
And it's the first episode. Very special. First episode with my boo.
Yes.
Sean Jenkins, my fiance, my baby daddy.
My wife to be.
Everything.
Melissa
So
Wells.
it's an exciting episode. And yeah, it's a big deal. It's a big deal for us to do this, actually.
Super big deal. Super big deal. Super excited to be here. Super excited to be doing it with you. So excited to dive into the depths and keep it funny, keep it humorous, keep it deep, keep it loving. And I'm just pumped to be collaborating on this.
Yay. Me too. Well, we've had a pretty wild year. You know, I think a lot of people listening have probably heard my side of the story of how we met.
Yeah.
But this whole year, this is our first year together, by the way, listeners.
Yes,
and
it is
in
our first year.
In our first year of our relationship, we have got pregnant and given birth and got engaged and moved states. And that's not everyone's first year in a relationship. That's not typical.
Not the typical
That's never
norm.
been my first year in a relationship before.
Never mind. Yeah.
So we're going to talk about it.
Yeah, we're going to dive right into that. Yeah, I think first off, it was a amazing roller coaster of a year that, when summed up, it's almost hard to put into words. That's why I'm excited about this podcast, to almost like go through linearly and really kind of like touch into the cornerstones of the experience and the heartfelt experience of it, and how much I think there's a lot of honoring oneself, ourselves, and leaning into each other. And like a lot went down.
A lot has gone down, and it's still,
In a small
we still
amount of
have a
time.
few months left of the year.
Yeah.
So let's start with how we met in Costa Rica. And, you know, we hope that with our story, with sharing our story, you know, that it inspires you to know that every story is different. Anything is possible in love. There's no like right or wrong way to go about anything.
100%.
We really had to like let go of what we thought like the perfect timeline looked like. And we just want to share like the truth, like the ups and the downs, because it hasn't all been easy.
Super peachy, not at all. And I think that sometimes social media outlets make it seem like it is, but there are layers. And but then there's a lot of layers of beauty as well that are tapped in there, and a lot of laughs, a lot of love. I think for me personally, what we've done in the last, or what are we on, 10 months, 9 months, 10 months?
Yeah.
Is like something I could have never imagined like Mel said, totally out of the ordinary. I've never experienced even remotely anything like that. People ask me a lot, like, is this a pattern? Not a pattern. Not a pattern whatsoever.
One would hope not. That would have been a big red flag, I think.
How many times have you done this?
How many times have you? Yeah. All right. So let's start with our story, how we met.
Yeah.
I've shared our story on this podcast before by myself. So maybe I'll ask you to lead with this, like your story of how we met.
Okay.
And I'll just chime in when I want to chime in.
Yeah, you chime in whenever you feel like it. Well, we met in Nosara, Costa Rica. I was there for a surf trip. And I was literally, I'd probably been there. I just got to my Airbnb where I was staying. I was going down to Guiones Beach to surf. I just rented a quad and I bumped into my best friend's girlfriend, who was my neighbor at the time.
In LA.
In LA. But literally was like the first person I saw in Nosara. And she basically was like, it was kind of like obviously like, oh my God, what's going on? What's happening? What's it? Because I had no idea she was going to be there. And she said, I think you should come out to dinner tonight. I've got some friends. And I was like, perfect, totally done deal. I'm gonna surf and then head over. Surfed, and then I was almost like, oh, I'm feeling kind of tired. I'm feeling a little bit over it. I was taking a shower. I got out. I had just been accepted to
Raya, the dating app.
Literally that day. And I was sitting down and I was starting to set up the application, set up the profile. And I was like, you know, I don't know.
How long had you been single for? P.S.
I have been single for like 3 months.
What?
No. Oh, I'm sorry. Like, okay. Single for about a year marks the date.
Yeah.
So November 30th.
But 3 months since.
3 months since last partner.
Last situation.
Last situation.
But not like a long-term relationship.
No, very minor league. Sorry.
Okay, yeah.
Totally thought you meant like just whatever was going on. Yeah. Totally
I'm like finding out new things on this podcast.
Yeah. You're like actually learning about me now. No. I was in a relationship for a couple years. And it had ended a year prior on that same date. So we met on November 30th and I had a breakup a year earlier on November 30th.
And I had a breakup 9 months prior.
9 months prior. Yeah. Yes. And there was a lot of serendipitousness. There was a lot of things just kind of working out. Cindy's quad broke down. So
that's the friend, Cindy.
That's the friend. So that happening enabled us to basically meet.
Yeah.
I remember walking down to the table in Nosara, which is at La Palata Beach. Yeah, La Luna. And it's got like this gorgeous beach view, etc. It's amazing. And I remember walking up and sitting down and being like, wow, this was more than I expected. Because it was you three.
Yeah,
and then
it was me,
my friend
Taylor Simpson, Sarah Thomas, she sees the stars, our astrologer, and Cindy.
Yeah.
And Cindy had texted me that day saying, just bumped into my friend Sean from LA. He's good people. Can I bring him to dinner? And I was like, internally, I was like, oh, don't really want a random dude showing up to dinner. Do you know what I mean? Like kind of just feel like a girls' night, like low key, chill with my girlfriends, have a little margarita, like call it a day. And but I guess I was just in a good mood, so I was like, yeah, sure, bring him along, whatever, like whatever you want, Cindy. I think I actually messaged her back saying, whatever makes you happy, babe, something like that. And I completely forgot that you were showing up, TBH. I was just like chilling, girlfriends. We ordered food. I had made like very minimal effort for this dinner at all. And then this guy rocks up and he's like, hey, sits down at the table. And I remember thinking, oh my God, Cindy, you didn't tell me this guy was coming. Like, well, I would have made more effort if I'd have known he was this guy.
Same on my end, though. I didn't realize that Cindy was bringing me into like this little like war zone of just like beautiful women. And I was just like immediately. So I think it was talking to Sarah, talking to Taylor, like getting acquainted, talking to you. But then it was starting to like go through the mind of like, man, I wonder, because you were directly on the other side. And I remember like kind of zeroing in and being like, can't really tell if she's single. Knew Taylor off the bat wasn't. Then Sarah realized wasn't. Obviously,
I was the last one left.
No, baby. You were just like, I was already zeroing in. I was trying just to like figure it out, delineate whether or not.
Yeah.
And then,
I knew he was zeroing in on me, and I started feeling like a little uncomfortable, TBH, because I was like, I don't know how to handle this. Like I can feel that he's like looking at me and like wanting to make conversation, but I was like feeling super nervous and like feeling shy.
Yeah.
And I also didn't know if you were single. You know, I knew that this was Cindy's friend from LA, but I had all these stories in my head like, oh my God, he probably has a girlfriend back in LA, you know, probably like, just one of those LA guys, you know.
It was one of the first things that Cindy brought up was like, oh, Sean just did like American Horror Story. So then you thought I was like this actor dude from LA.
And I was like, oh, I don't date actors.
And you're like, oh, I'm not an actor dater.
I'm not,
yeah,
not
like,
into
that's not happening.
Yeah.
And then I remember thinking to myself, not only is she gorgeous, but the words that were coming out of your mouth, A, B, Cindy was like, she'd said something where she said, you had, well, you were like fresh off a retreat.
Yeah.
And so that was already like enticing. And then it was supposed to be Shawn Mendes, but then I came. Oh,
God, I forgot about that.
And you said, this was like this hit. You said, but we prefer you, Sean, anyways.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Like, wow.
Yeah, let's just side note that we had met Shawn Mendes around at the same time in Costa Rica.
Yeah.
And he had also been invited to dinner. And I completely forgot that as well. I forgot about any other invitations to dinner. Yeah. He did not show. We're cool with it. We're not upset.
We're not mad.
We got a better Sean.
Although, Sean, we're still, if you're
listening to this, Sean,
we're a little mad.
You owe us dinner.
Yeah. We want dinner in the house.
So I was starting to feel like his attention on me, and I was starting to feel, I was getting shy, and I was like deliberately not really, you know, I get a little shy in situations like that. I'm not like an overtly flirty person. Like when I can feel when someone likes me, but I prefer to like just sit back and like take it in kind of thing.
Yeah.
Before I like see like what I want to do about that.
Yeah. And I was a little bit more like, boom, I'm moving in.
True.
I'm going in with the kill. But there was also like an array of stories that we connected on were like completely the same, that almost scared you.
Oh, yeah.
Because they were so the same.
Yeah.
So the first one was you, and I mean, your audience knows well, your past relationship was like a bit of a rug pull. My last relationship was a bit of a rug pull. And so we immediately kind of like bonded on that. And then we started talking about like, oh, what do you do? Or what do you do?
Yeah.
And it was like, well, was an actor and then now kind of more into the entrepreneurial space. Like,
yeah. And I was like, oh, he's probably not a spiritual dude. Like I need someone that's like really on a spiritual path for me to have that. And then he started talking about his spiritual journey and like basically this guy has been on a spiritual journey his entire life. And then, then we started talking about astrology and like sharing our placements, which girls, it's important to know, right? It's important. So immediately when I was like, who is this guy? I'm like, do you know what your rising is? What's your moon? And
what's your rising? What's your moon? What's your sun?
And we start diving into it all with Sarah, the astrologer who was there. And then I'm like,
well, I
thought we were
too
too similar.
close.
Yeah, because we have a very similar chart.
Yeah.
So we're both Aquarius.
Both Aquarius. I'm a Pisces rising.
No, you're not, baby.
Oh, no, I'm a Pisces moon.
He's a Pisces moon.
I'm a Virgo rising.
Exactly.
I'm a Virgo south node, and I'm a north node Pisces.
Correct.
And you are...
I'm a Pisces rising.
An Aquarius. Pisces rising.
Aquarius sun and moon.
Yeah. You're a
Aquarius
south
north
node Leo.
South node Leo, Aquarius north node. So basically, when I was like hearing him say what his placements were,
but the important one,
I was like, this is weird. This is too similar. Like maybe we're not going to be in a relationship. Maybe we're just going to be super good friends. But
a big one that you asked was, and Venus. Sarah then did my reading. P.S. She's the star. She's the bomb.
Yeah.
But she did my reading, and you were like,
tell me what his Venus is. Find out what his Venus.
Find out what his Venus is. And then all of a sudden I was like, she was like, his Venus is in Pisces.
And I was like, that is the correct answer.
I can breathe.
Okay, thank God.
Finally, we can
Venus
move
in
on.
Pisces is
Let me text him back.
Venus in Pisces is great for me because I'm Venus in Capricorn.
Yes.
And we won't go down the astrology rabbit hole too much on this episode, but y'all know that's a good thing. That is a good thing.
And we tapped into that.
Yeah. So you said to me later that like 3/4 of the way through the meal, you pretty much like had it sussed.
So there's one thing I'd like to mention, which I don't know how important it is to everybody, but for me, being in Los Angeles for the last 8 years, I was really not accustomed to this. So we were in dinner and I kept speaking after like being asked about my story, whatnot. So I was like telling my story, and then it would get interrupted. People just like jump in and butt in, but you would always bring it back to like, hey Sean, but you were saying like, what was that? What were you talking about? Like, go ahead and expand.
Because I was trying to get to know you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But that was so meaningful to me because that coming back was like a substantial showcase and exemplification to me that, oh, she cares what I'm talking about. And after being on so many like little mini dates where it's so surface that like there was so much depth and weight kind of off the bat, that engagement, besides like the overall aura and just kind of ensemble of just who you were and just kind of like the general cosmic pull, I 3/4 of the way into the date, I was like, holy shit, this is my person.
Which he didn't tell me at the time, obviously.
Yes, I did not. But 3/4 of the way through, I knew this is my person. And part of that is because 4 days earlier, I called you in at Thanksgiving. And then I was like, there she is.
What happened at Thanksgiving? Tell us more about the calling in, because I know that people are going to want to hear about this. Because we do a lot of that shit. Women do a lot of like calling in my king, calling in my person, manifesting, blah, blah, blah. And we don't necessarily know if men are also doing that. And I want you to share like what that process was for you, just briefly.
Okay. It was, I mean, it was a brief process, but it basically what it was I had gone to Thanksgiving dinner with my family, my parents in Northern California, and all of them, were with their significant others, and like, my brother has a baby, etc. And I remember thinking, so I stepped outside, like dinner was halfway through. I stepped outside. The air was crisp. And I remember inhaling in and looking up at the stars just basically greeting God and being like, I'm ready. Like, I'm ready. I'm ready for my person to come. Mm-hmm. I'm ready to meet my person. I'm ready for my person to, inhabit my space so I can meet them and we can join. Like, I'm prepared now. Mm-hmm. And I think that it was honestly like just a small conversation for me. It wasn't like writing down. I wasn't like doing journal prompts. It wasn't like super task oriented.
It wasn't like on the new moon.
Yeah, it wasn't on the new moon. Although if we probably followed back, something was going on. But yeah, it was just really just kind of like a looking up and just an acknowledgement like, okay, God, I'm ready. And then 4 days later, Mama pulled up.
Right.
Yeah. Mama pulled up looking.
Let's fast forward a little bit. So after that dinner, you asked me on a date.
I did.
And I said, yes, I would like to go on a date with you.
You did, after a massive pause.
After a big pause, which was not hesitation, by the way. It was just me taken in the moment.
Yes,
right?
Mama likes to take
I was taken in the moment. I was like, there are some moments where you just want to pause. I was like, let me just take this moment in because I feel like this is important. I feel like this man is going to be important in my life and I just want to take this moment in. He thought I was like, not sure, but I was
Mama really took it in.
I took it in.
She took her time in big time.
And then I was like, yes, I would love to go on a date with you. However, I'm about to go on another retreat, which was my Queendom Mastermind retreat. So it'll have to be after that retreat. And he was like, sweet. So I go off on my retreat. I'm still like, I haven't had that like, boom, this is my person yet. I've just been like, okay, I like him. He's invited me on a date. Like, I'm going to go on this date with him when I get back. But, we'll see, not attached. Let's just see how it goes. Like, haven't spent any time just one-on-one with you yet. So I went on my retreat. We had an amazing retreat. And on the last night, I was leading my clients through this manifestation, embodiment, full moon ceremony leading into an ecstatic dance. And we did a lot of journaling. We did a lot of like visioning, like what are you calling in? And I did it with them. And when I did that, I wrote down like, okay, I'm calling in my husband. I'm calling in the father of my children. I'm calling in the life that I want, which is beautiful family, marriage, devotion to one man, house, house in US, a house in Costa Rica, all the things. I wrote it all down. And what's interesting is when I barely knew you, I knew that we had a date set up, but when I was writing that, I was also describing like what the relationship's going to feel like, what I wanted it to feel like, what I wanted the partner to feel like. I went very deep. But what was interesting is like, as I was writing it, obviously I knew that I had this date with you coming up. And as I was writing it, I noticed that I was thinking about you as I was writing it. So then anyway, I came back, we went on our date. And basically it was like the best date ever. And it was like the rest is history. And I think on that day, I was like, oh my God, like this could be my husband. Hey guys, just want to take a quick break from this episode to tell you about my favorite product that I'm using right now. And that is Pitsy Natural Deodorant. I've tried every single natural deodorant that's out there. This is the only one that actually works and lasts and stops me from smelling. But not only does it stop me from smelling, it actually smells freaking amazing. And there are 6 different scents. So what I love about Pitsy is I can basically choose the scent that I want that morning, depending on the kind of mood I'm in, depending on my outfit, the vibe that I'm in. So I might go for like rose, which I love the rose one. But then this morning I was feeling more in like a lavender clove bud kind of mood. I might feel in like a dark sea kind of mood. Like I'm so multi-dimensional that I like to choose a different scent every day, right? So I love this product so much. It's also biodegradable, compostable. You can literally put this into the soil when you're done with it, and it will completely disintegrate into nothing. So super good for the planet, which we absolutely love. But yeah, most of all, just love that it actually works, you know, as a natural product. So everyone get your hands on some Pitsy. You can use the code melwells10 to get 10% off your order. So go to meetpitsy.com or Instagram/meetpitsy. All right, back to the episode. This could be like the man that I have babies with. Like this feels like it's the end of my single life.
Well, that date was impeccable, I will say.
It was impeccable.
I mean, we literally were there for like 5 hours. We talked the whole entire time. We put on jazz music.
We even took selfies on our first date. I don't know who takes like a couple selfies
There's like
together
one
on their
where I'm
first
like
date.
kissing your neck.
Yeah.
Like intimate selfies that you'd only see like 10-year relationship in.
Well, yeah.
1 year, half month, whatever. But it was
we were taking those pictures together on our
like
first
hour
date.
3.
We knew that it was like, this is happening.
Yeah.
We knew straight away this is happening. And
I'd already been knowing. I basically went back to my Airbnb after that original night with you girls at the dinner.
Yeah.
After you'd given me the hug and you were the only one. And I basically started thinking to myself, how am I going to ask my person on a date? And so that then pulled into
And I just want to also reiterate, like, because I asked you this, like, you keep saying like my person, like you hadn't been with other people, relationships where you've been like, this is my person.
No, I'd never been with anybody that where I was like, this is my person. I'd also been with people that I had felt close to, but I never really felt like, okay, this is going to be it for me. And then also it was less ease. Yeah. Like a general, just less ease.
Yeah.
And I felt like there was just so much movement and just like effortlessness, and that moment at the restaurant when we were like having our time and the sun was kind of going down, and like basically the most blissful first day possible. I was like, yeah, I don't think it can't get any better than this. I could foresee like long life with this human being.
Yeah, I was feeling the same. I was noticing there were, you know, just a lot of green flags for me, like a lot of shared values, you know, family, big value for me.
Yeah.
Integrity, big value for me. You know, the way that you took care of me in a way, like the way that you were so embodied in your masculine energy was really attractive to me. The way that you just made me feel was like huge for me. And it's like hard to describe, but I think a lot of women know, like when you're with a man who really respects women, who really wants to take care of you, you know, in a lot of ways, I cherish that. And I really felt like, wow, like this is a man who, you know, doesn't want to just be single and play around and have all of his options available and be this kind of free, you know, thing. This is a man that actually wants commitment, that actually wants family, that actually wants to be with one person for the rest of his life. And, you know, I think the more you were sharing things like that, and then you were sharing about like how much you wanted to be a dad, like all of these were like green flags for me, and kind of helped me disintegrate a lot of those stories around like, oh, you know, he's a hot guy from LA, probably XYZ, probably blah, 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 like making up all these things.
Yeah.
And we're also able to drop in a lot about our spiritual journeys and about our faith, which was huge for me.
And that was, I think, where like the ease fell for me, was that it was just like, it was so easy to converse, and then it was so easy just energetically, and like to be able to go from this depth-based spiritual conversation about like some wild journey that we'd been on and kind of like a learning takeaway from that. And then like laugh right after.
Oh my God.
That like is
constant laughing.
Not necessarily, that's not like an everyday
That's true.
find whatsoever.
I really appreciate that about you. I did then and I still do now. The fact that you are this very dropped in, you know, deep spiritual guy, but you're also just like never take yourself too seriously. You know, you don't have this like big ego about it. You know, it's very, you can make things just very fun, and you've made our life together very fun and full of joy, and
thanks,
you always make me laugh so much. I've never been in a relationship where I've laughed this much.
Really?
Yeah. And like even
thanks,
this
babe.
year, there's been so many challenging parts of this year that we've had together, you know, along the journey of, you know, pregnancy and like having our baby early and just everything that we've been through together. You've found a way to always bring joy. And I just so deeply appreciate that.
Oh, thanks, baby.
Without it being like, oh, this is not the time to crack a joke. It's not like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But I mean, I like literally, I feel the exact same way back. I mean, I think that like one of the things also, like, I had no idea, like, really honestly, who you were or what like audience was, anything like that. I knew you got back from retreat that you ran, but it was really like us just basically in this like sauce pot for like, then it became like 9 days. I extended my trip.
We were basically inseparable from that first date.
Just literally then on.
And I think just because people love to know, like, did you have sex on that first date? We fully did.
We did have sex on that first date.
And like, I just want to say, like, before then, I had been like pretty much like celibate. I had been very much like not ready for much activity going on down there. And I had been, you know, when I had been dating people, I had been taking it so slow because I was just not ready.
Yeah.
And I think it kind of goes to show that you can feel like you're not ready until you meet the right person. And then you're like, well, I'm ready. Because that first date, I was like, oh, it's on.
Yeah.
And like all of those stories around like, oh, you shouldn't, blah, blah, blah. You shouldn't, you know, you should wait. Just, it was like my body and my heart just took over my mind, you know?
I think though, that is like the sharing of morals and values and how much that truly, really encapsulates like that immediate fondness of one another, like ease or like space to be able to hold for each other and love for each other kind of off the bat is something that was so new, was because so many things matched up in that arena too.
Yeah.
Like it was like again, like how you talked about your family, how you wanted a family, how you are now with Sky. Like there's just so many things that you just remained in integrity from the beginning about what you'd said and remained true to what you said. And like so many, there's just a lot of words out there.
Agreed.
And there's not as much action.
Agreed.
And I think that like noticing how action-based you were in like the most beautiful of ways and not ever being like too intense. Like I think I told you, I was like pretty transparent. The only thing I would like even worried about was I was like, once I'd found out, like somebody told me a couple weeks later after we were out of the sauce and I was like back from Costa Rica, I was like, well, anybody who's like running that much, I'm worried about this like masculine energy being there. And you were like so perfectly able to kind of hold that, like, I'm a boss, I'm handling business, I'm doing things, I'm making things happen in the most beautiful of ways, like spirituality at the forefront and just being like this beautiful navigating guide. And then at the same time, like embodying that feminine energy of being able to be like, yeah, it's okay. Like take the lead, do like, I appreciated that a lot. Cause like, I do at certain times want to take the lead and I don't
Oh, well, this is
necessarily
something
want.
that I found so attractive about you is that you didn't need me to tell you that, you know, you just did that naturally. You know, you are a man who naturally takes the lead, who naturally wants to take care of the feminine, who naturally wants to open the door, pay for the check, you know, be that first, you know, be that guide and be that container for me. And that was just so refreshing for me. And that was something that I really, really wanted in this relationship.
Yeah.
And I didn't even need to ask for it. It was just so effortless from you. And I think for any woman who is an entrepreneur, you know, making money, like can basically do what the fuck she wants with her life, I think it's really important for women to still I think women like that, like me, we want to feel in our feminine in relationships, you know, because we do spend a lot of our lives making shit happen and taking action and building our businesses and all the cool things that we get to do. And, you know, I'm really passionate about, yes, getting to do that and also not sacrificing our feminine energy in the process, because if we do all of that and we are very much in the masculine energy, in my experience and to my knowledge, it's not healthy for relationships.
Yeah. Well, I think it like, I think it really takes away from the ability to have that natural duality of like, okay, there's going to be those two energies working together, like almost symbiotically. It's like there's not some game of push pull or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's just like we're in this together. It already felt team oriented, and I think it's because like both of those were being embodied, and so there wasn't a necessity to be like, hey, can you do more of this? Or like, I would really appreciate it if you did a little bit more of this. It was just like, I felt like regardless, I don't even care, success, whatever, it doesn't matter to me. Like heart matters to me. The internals matter to me. What she wants and how she moves and how she holds herself and like the genuineness and the lovingness, those are like pure things that never want to take for granted, saw in you and was highly attracted to, and recognized like, as long as I don't get, you know, it's like a guy has to check himself and be like, yeah, there's no ego here. There's no competition unless it's healthy. And being like, you know, this is what I have.
Yeah.
I have things that to hold and traits about me that I adore in you, and we can come together like that.
And something that I really found super attractive about you is how certain you were and how confidently you moved towards that. You know, you were very much it's you're what I want, and you had no worries about like moving towards that. And I think that consistency and that integrity and that commitment from day one was really attractive to me. And that is the masculine quality. Like the masculine is like solid, safety, container, the rock. I was the one that was like a bit more all over the place, if we're honest. Like I was a bit like, oh my God, this is quite scary. Like, you know, are we ready? Da, 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 da. And you were just like solid. You were just like, okay, I'm here. You're my person. Like, I'm not going anywhere, basically, which just made me feel so at peace and so safe so that I could surrender and just allow the magic to unfold. So the dynamic was like spot on from the beginning for me, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and then there was sexy time in the first night. And then
let's fast forward to the bit where we
conceive. So basically,
well, first of all, we said I love you like within like I think 48
literally
hours.
It was like 2 days later it was like I love you was popping out, and then probably
you were talking
either
about
the same night
you were talking about getting a ring like almost almost straight away.
Yeah.
That was happening. That was a conversation that was happening.
Yeah. And the thing is like, and I stuck to the script on all that, as I like to say. I basically like was like, here's what I'm gonna do, and then I was just
he was like, here's what I'm gonna do,
and here's I'm
gonna propose to you. Like it was all getting talked about. We started talking about babies. We started talking about our future family together. It was all on the table very fast.
Yeah. And then we went and we actually performed the conception of little baby Sky, our most beautiful little cherub.
Yeah, which everyone always assumes was like a total accident, by the way.
No, we were trying. Yeah. That was a move that we literally were going for.
The first time was not a try. The first time was like, what the, oh my God, whoops, shit. Like,
we had a whoopsie in there.
And then we were like, actually, let's not do anything about that.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, it's on. Okay.
It was full blown like a spirit was trying to like come
That's
through
exactly
us,
what I feel. Yeah.
Like
we could feel it.
Yeah.
We could feel like we're actually making a baby right now and it's happening.
Yeah.
Like it's, oh my God, this is like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And this has never felt more right that we're doing this. And I think I had the thought of like, I know this is going to be the father of my children eventually. So like, maybe it's our story that it's just happening this fast, you know?
Yeah.
And we both like really had a lot of trust and faith, but it was scary, you know? I think that's 100%. A really abnormal journey, a really, you know, not a story that you hear very often.
Not like recommending it, not just
not
like
recommending
honestly just sharing our experience, strength, and hope, like sharing what we went through.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but 100%, like there was, well, I think it came out a little bit later on, like after Costa Rica, after kind of this little love bubble. By the way, your parents came as well.
And they obviously fell in love with him.
So then I was immediately with...
My mom was like, oh my God, he's amazing.
Love your mom to death.
Yeah.
But basically it was like 5 days with the parentals as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I think like some of the apprehension kicked in right afterwards where it was like, obviously I went home and then it started becoming more real. Well,
let's go to like the moment that we actually found out that we were pregnant, and that was New Year's Day. So we had gone out in Miami together for New Year's Eve, very much like very happy to be together, very much in the love bubble.
Yeah.
And then we had not had a test done yet. I was waiting until we were together.
Yeah.
But we were very much on the page of like, we hope that we are, you know, we were not like dreading like, oh my God, what have we done? You know, we were very much like hoping, you know, like you were rubbing my belly. Like we were like really excited. And then we did the test on New Year's Day together after I did not get my period. And we were fucking thrilled. Like we found out together, we cried, we like there was not, when we found out, there wasn't any fear in that moment, you know, it was so pure. It was so, I mean, you share your experience.
No, I mean, that's like where I think the bizarreness for some people, it kicks in. Like it 100% was like, there was absolutely no worry about it. There was no, oh my God, did we do the right thing? Are we doing the wrong thing? There was none of that. It was just like, it felt so good. It felt like so exciting. It was like, oh my gosh, we're going into family. Like we're doing this. This is going to be incredible.
Yeah.
It was nothing but excitement. We were like when we found out, we were like on the beach that day, and yeah, it was nothing but celebratory and nothing but like you and me just being in awe of the whole entire situation.
Yeah.
And then I think it's like, obviously that's when opinions start kicking in.
We started telling people.
So basically, yeah,
we started telling people. We had like a lot of like amazing support. And then we had a couple of people that were like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that were not
understandably so.
Yeah, 100%. And to be frank, like they were just trying to have both of our best interest, but at the same time, everybody's going to walk their path. I think I just want that to be like really, really pushed, is that like everybody has their individualized path. Mm-hmm. There is no mock-up. There is no blueprint. There is no perfect way of going about this life, right? Like it is like, but a training ground. Yeah. I don't want to be flippant about that, but like we're souls going through this world, and we're gonna live it out, and we're gonna grow into through our karmic and our dharmic ways. But anyways,
and also I would also just want to say that like prior to this experience, I would have looked at someone else doing what we did, and I would have been really triggered by it. I would have had a lot of judgments about it, because it was my belief that like it takes a long time to know if this is a person you want to be with, right? And my previous relationship we had come together in a completely different way. We'd been friends for a long time. Then we'd got together, so it was a much more slow burn. And so I would have seen a couple getting together, getting pregnant, going for it. Like I would have been triggered by that, because I would have been like, this doesn't fit the template of the timeline that I have in my head for how relationships work out. Right.
I will say that in the last 10 months, it's been like the most intense experience in like the best and then most extreme ways, and the most learning experientially that I may have ever done. Mm-hmm. Just trusting the gut also, because you're going to came up against friction that again had our best interest, but was like exactly where you were coming from. And who knows, I may have had that reaction.
Judgments. Yeah.
I may have been like, dude, bud, I hear you, 100. I understand, but you guys were in Costa Rica. I really don't know if you barely know this person. Who even knows how like I personally would have reacted. So we stayed rooted in our truth, which was we trusted our process, how we felt about one another, how we felt like truly at our core for one another. And that paid dividends in the end, obviously.
And I will say, like, first trimester, for women listening who have been pregnant, first trimester is a lot. The hormones are going wild. And for me, we weren't like fighting in the first trimester. We didn't have it like that, but I did have anxiety in the first trimester, like a lot of anxiety. And there was this, this concern of like, are they right? Are we really doing this? Like, and I had a lot of readings. I sought out a lot of support from my sisters. I had therapy, because I was like, am I crazy? Like, are we really, is this really the path that we're meant to be on? Is this the right person for me? Are we meant to be doing this? Is this the right timeline for me? Because I feel like it is, intuitively, I feel like it is, but my mind was so full of clutter and other people's opinions and old stories of timelines and how it should be. And like, is this, etc. Yeah. And so we had to work through that together. Yeah. But, to your credit, again, you were very solid. You were, out of both of us, obviously, I know you had your moments as well.
Yeah.
But like, you really stayed true and stayed dedicated to me, to us, to the baby. And I just felt very held in that by you.
And I just want to say too that I never experienced this before. I have had only actually the direct opposite experiences where I've been with people who have wanted families and I wasn't ready. And so this is not like it's not like a pattern of any sort. This is like fully me leaning in and basically taking a massive leap of faith into what I was just so purposefully feeling like this is it. I don't know why, how to verbalize this, but like this is the person I'm supposed to be doing this with. I mean, telling my dad was rough. You know, it was
Oh my
intense.
God, I will never forget that.
It is intense.
Yeah, it was intense.
Yeah. Oh, but
Yeah.
by the way,
Yeah.
basically like how we explained it is we basically found out January 1st, January 14th, we were on a plane to the Bay Area to tell my parents, told them both, got interesting responses from both. My dad started crying.
So
that was
terrifying
precious.
For me.
That was
Yeah,
precious. That was terrifying for you.
Crying in a
Bless
good
your
way.
heart.
Crying.
Yeah, he was crying, happy crying.
Not like crying like
Yeah. But they still couldn't help be parents, right?
Totally.
So they still couldn't help be like running the logistics and the practicalities through mind. And again, like I don't want it to sound like Mel and I are like not practical people, logistic based practical people. We are. It was just like an overwhelming feeling for me that like this is what's supposed to be going on.
Yeah.
And that part I feel still is like inexplainable, but it's the best I can do.
And I think after the first trimester ended, you know, things felt really stable and I started feeling really connected to the baby and, you know, it was just like, it's on. And then you proposed in Nasara, which I knew, obviously, like we had talked about it before. Like I knew that he was planning to propose, but I think there was a part of me that wondered, like, you know, maybe he's not going to do that for a while because we're like all up in the pregnancy deal, you know, maybe he's going to wait. And no, he proposed at the restaurant that we met at that first night. And it was the most beautiful surprise and just the most amazing evening. And it really meant a lot. It really meant a lot to me, and I think it really solidified, like, wow, this is really it. You know, this is really happening. Yeah.
I mean, that was a big moment. I think I had never proposed before, and like the getting the ring and I basically told you I wasn't coming to Costa Rica, so you thought like I was trying to almost like dodge in a way, or and then it was quite the contrary. And then like finally I told you like, you know, I am gonna be coming to Costa Rica. La Luna was the place we did it.
Yeah.
Such an amazing, gorgeous experience. And again, like there were pivotal moments in that like really showcased to me, like we're doing this. I want to show that I'm ready to do this. And I remember somebody was calling like on my way to do it who, you know, wasn't a massive proponent of the choices that I was making in regards to us. And I remember screening the call and being like, yeah, not today, bud. And that was like that was a moment right there. That was a choice that I was like, I'm going to ixnay this like kind of negative portion out of my life. And I'm going to lean into what I feel is right. And, it was beautiful and amazing.
And we really have not looked back.
No.
Right? And we made the decision. I was living in Miami at the time, as you guys know.
I was in LA.
He was in LA. So we were back and forth a little bit.
Back and forth.
And then we were like, we obviously need to figure out where we're going to live. We looked at LA, we looked at Miami, and we decided that neither place was going to be great for a newborn life and for raising the family that we wanted. And we eventually landed on Austin.
Yeah.
And, you know, we have beautiful community here full of other mums and dads who are raising beautiful babes together. And we feel like we've made a really beautiful choice for like this chapter. We don't know if it's for our forever home, but we definitely know that right now it's been exactly what we needed for this chapter of coming into parenthood.
Big time.
So this was like a good natural stopping point just for part 1. And in part 2, we're going to talk more about the birth and the entry into the world of Sky and everything that has happened since then. I'm also going to be doing some Q&A as well.
Exciting.
So we'll see you guys in the next chapter. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening.
So, my loves, I hope that you loved that episode. If you did, please do share it on Instagram. I would love to see your story tags of you listening to the episode. We love to hear which episodes you guys have loved the most. Please also make sure that you leave us a juicy review on Apple, iTunes, or the podcast app, because that means so much to me and it really helps this podcast spread far and wide. So thank you so much for listening. I love you. I hope your week is filled with love, sex, and magic, and I'll see you next time.